Hi, I'm Philip Yancey, and I'm a writer. I've written about 20 books. Many of them have the word God in the title because I grew up in the church, but it was not a church I'd recommend to anybody. It's a toxic church. And a lot of my books are my own pilgrimage of recovering and rediscovering my faith. So I've written books like What's So Amazing About Grace and The Jesus I Never Knew, because the Jesus I've come to know is very different than the Jesus I was taught earlier. In my own pilgrimage, I've been through a process of, I guess I would say, rehabilitating the image of God. The church is as likely, I found, to turn people away from God as to attract people toward God. And I've discovered that God is love, and that the core message of the gospel that Jesus came to proclaim was really good news. There are a lot of people who don't see Christians as those who are bringing good news to the world. I wrote a book called What's So Amazing About Grace because I believe it really is amazing. And when I encountered it for the first time, it was life-changing. I wrote a book called The Jesus I Never Knew because I didn't know that Jesus, but when I got to know him, I got a whole new idea of what God is like. A friend of mine grew up with an image, much like I did, of a harsh, judgmental, almost like a super cop in the sky God. And in her case, it was a white male, and she had some problems with men. And she went to her spiritual director after years of struggling with this and explained, it's so hard for me to think of God. It's so hard for me to pray to God, especially when people use words like Our Father, because my image is so negative. Her spiritual director thought for a few moments and said, why don't you just fire that God? And so she did. And I think for a lot of people, we need to fire, or at least scrub off, that image of God we grew up with and discover the God that is revealed in Jesus, because it really is good news.